Good afternoon, one and all present here. I greet all the panelists who are with us today this afternoon with Planetech Media House. What is Planetech Media House? Planetech is an independent media house which offers reliable source of news, information, and articles. We also experience across an excellent portfolio of media, videos, articles, interviews, events in digital and social media platforms. We're back again with the 19th edition of webinar Crafting Transformation Informative webinar on company essentials. And we do have our resourceable speakers. I would like to call upon our first speaker, who is Santhosh Tuppad, a security expert, OWNS cheat sheet, and contributor, and a coder, an exploratory tester, and a tech conference speaker. I'm glad to have you on a platform of Planetech Media House. Over to you, sir.
Great, thank you, Dhanush. And before I start on, okay, and then I don't usually, I'm known for not stopping, but I will try to stop. So may I request the other panelists to turn off their videos just in case of if there is a bandwidth issue until we, okay, thank you so much, Subhash. Thank you. Great. So I would like to welcome you all. You must be already, some of you may know me, some of may not know me. I have been a hacker all my life, and today I'm going to speak about the ugly side of a fancy software. All the applications that we use in our day-to-day lives. Okay, you could be using Instagram, okay, the phone, okay, it could be a smartphone, which is actually not really a smartphone because that makes me stupid because someone is going to hack this device. Someone is going to hack the application. Someone is going to steal my money. So no matter how a software looks onto the user interface, a flashy, all different colors with a great user experience, we have not yet grown to that stage where we care about security principles. And why do we trust some hospital where we just go there and enter the name and the illness and all our historic data in terms of the healthcare? Or it could be e-commerce. Why do we give our data to someone else is the question. And many people, we don't ask that question because we have been constantly bombarded with different things like insurance policy, life insurance policy, and I need to get my paycheck, I need to get my driving license. And I think it's some kind of noise that in our brain, we get limited time to think about the software security across the globe. And the reason for this is bad principles used in secure coding, and no one does secure coding. Everyone is just happy with, you know what, I'll give you this feature, give me a solution, done. No one thinks about your API security. No one thinks about social engineering aspects. No one thinks about how is my JavaScript code going to work? Is it really secure or it's just famous? Most of the things that are famous, that's where my eyes are onto because they also have security bugs. Doesn't mean that, okay, we buy it from great vendor, the product works really well. We take it from some tiny shop, it's bad. So that's the way how we look at the world. Doesn't necessarily mean it's the right thing to do. Now, when I was a kid, now, just taking you to a flashback memory as well. I started with the hacking when I was a kid and not necessarily, I studied it in terms of academics or college or doing a certified ethical hacking. I'm not a certification guy because I believe that if you want to do good to the world, certification is somewhere else. You keep it aside. You do a hard work with the great discipline, the study, and for your own integrity of learning hacking and applying to the software so that tomorrow we can stop the crimes. Those are happening. Now, as I speak about the crime, I would love to speak about a specific thing in the healthcare industry. Healthcare industry, I'm not sure about the other countries, but of course, wherever I am, be it whenever I travel to different countries, be it in Europe or Australia or America or India. Any application, be it healthcare, e-commerce, anything that's on the web is poorly developed. It's not really strongly done and well done. It's always done because you are answerable to your VCs, venture capitalists, and that's what you are happy with. But there are black hat hackers who are really evil. It could be me. I'm not sure. I don't want to give much more information. I'm telling that it's so hard to understand who could be a malicious hacker. It could be my grandpa, it could be my grandma, or it could be my father or my friend, or someone from this webinar. It could be Mr. Sanjay, it could be Mr. Subhash, it could be Mr. Dhanush. So we don't know who are hackers here. We don't know what kind of monster we are facing. We don't know that. And where do they dwell? Where do they live? No idea at all. So that's the reason, do not reveal your information so much. Telling, I give out my birth date. And also when someone asks you, when's your birthday? You say, my birthday is on so and so date. And I also love these kind of gifts. Well, you know what? Who asked you about gifts? No one asked you about gifts. You are going to give this extra information to the people, and these people could be, possibly malicious hackers. So it's all to do with your oxytocin levels in your brain. So as a malicious hacker, I will come to you and I will ask you, you know what? I love pets. The reason I love pets is because I know you have a pet. And once I create that friendship with you, okay, you will reveal more information because you feel good about yourself because you have a pet, or else you feel good about yourself because you have a nano. Because most of the world, most of the people in India, they may treat nano as something else, but it's a great car. But they may treat it as something like, you just have nano. But if I come to you and say, you have nano, I love that car. And you respond to me saying, oh, you also have nano. Well, actually, I do not have the nano, but I'm here to win your trust. And you will help me by giving all different kind of information because I'm going to become your friend. So be careful about these folks. Why are you trusting whoever you are trusting? What makes you trust someone is the best question that you got to ask yourself. And just in like few minutes, okay, you need not trust anyone. And of course, you need not trust me, but maybe you're already trusting me because I'm a speaker, right? The moment you start trusting me, I will wait. I will stay dormant. And then after 5 years or after 3 months or after 1 month, after 3 days, I may attack you in the software. And then, okay, I can steal your all the valuable items or which could be your virtual money or anything. It could be your wallets, or it could be your e-commerce where you have accumulated all different points. And that's the problem that we are facing today. And on the other hand, we also have soldiers in terms of protecting the hacking. And why do we still see hackers doing breaches? They keep continuing to hack every day. We can look into Reddit, okay, we can look into the news as well. So someone or the other person is going and hacking something. That's the reason, because we do not have security requirements. And anyone who is a security tester or ethical hacker or a white hat hacker, a white hat hacker is a good guy, and the black hat one is a bad guy. Just because I'm wearing this hoodie doesn't mean I'm a black hat, but I'm a white hat. That's what I'm telling you. But it's up to you how you are going to judge me. No matter what I tell you, you're going to judge me. Is Santhosh a good hacker or a white hacker? So the first and foremost thing is we all have to care about security, not just for your apartment building, for your software as well. If you're using software, why? Why is someone asking my PAN number, which means permanent account number? Right? And then they ask you the PIN number. PIN number is personal identification number, which means in India, most of them, what I have seen in my experience around me, they do not understand what is personal. We also speak about different people very, in a very shallow way. For instance, okay, people do not understand what is personal space. You've got to give space to someone. You cannot just go and go into someone's space and act like a mad person or like a moron. I wouldn't do that, and I do not encourage people doing that as well. So if someone is coming to you, and because we also have this culture, right? People asking PIN numbers. Sir, can I get your PIN number? Okay, this is the card. I need to go there because it's connected to the device, or there are some wires. The first question you need to ask is, the PIN stands for personal identification number. That means something. So you need to tell the person, the staff member, you better get that device here and you better look somewhere else. Now those are the manners in security. So if someone looks at me when I'm typing my PIN number, I don't mind. I just tell them, hey, look, okay, you need to look different. I mean, you need to look at some different object, or you should not look at what I'm typing, because once that is known, that PIN number can be similar on some other application, and they can use it on other application, not on your debit card or credit card. These are the several problems that we have. And when I was a kid, speaking about the same thing, I did most of the hacks in terms of social engineering, where it's about hacking the brain of a person, where I would create such a bigger, larger trust, and I would break it finally. So what do we need to do? One is be careful. Do not reveal any information to anyone unless they authenticate to you that they are from that company, or they are from this company, or anything. Now, if someone calls my grandpa and says, sir, we are calling from this bank, and nowadays you can just take the phone number of someone and find a lot of details about them using Facebook or OSINT framework, which is open source intelligence tools. You can get all the information, and they will make sure they know most of the things about my grandpa. And my grandpa would be like, oh, wow, this person is speaking true things about me. So this person should be calling from that bank. And my grandpa says, what do you need? Sir, we are resetting the bank account passwords. Okay, can I get your PIN number? And they do give. And I have done experiments in my life where I have done it with several people, where they would give their PIN number, and they would also tell you by repeating their PIN number, because they want you to confirm. And that's a crazy thing. What I've seen, that's mostly with the social engineering, where you create a trust and break the trust. That's what hackers do. And while we are speaking, and I'm sure that there are some people who are hacking many applications. And why we do it? One is the industry only looks out for money. And finally, we can be laid back people saying that, well, that's how business works, right? Well, you can do a good business by bringing in the security into your company and not crying tomorrow if someone hacks your data. Hacks your customers' data, and they put it on eBay, or they put it on their own servers, and they just put it on discussion forums, anywhere they like. And once they have all this data, it's easier. For example, when I took my mother to the hospital, they gave a report. When they gave a report, it was lying on the table where there were many other people who could read the report, and they wouldn't say anything. Now, that's where I call rest in peace to HIPAA compliance and PHI, which is a Patient Health Information Act. So we have been facing all this, and we need real security guys who work for their own integrity. I think this can apply to any industry on the planet. We are very laid back. We come from this background where we say, if no one is watching, why should I work so well, right? I'm getting a paycheck at the month end. But when I work because I'm watching myself. I'm watching myself in terms of, am I really enjoying this work? And when do I enjoy this? Or maybe when I'm in my 70s, do I regret? What kind of activity did I do? Or I did not really work work so well. I did not help my customers so well. And all these things. Now, connecting back to my the title of the talk, the ugly side of the fancy software. Every day, even if your hospital data is breached, your e-commerce data is breached, and your bank accounts are breached. It's just that, okay, your friend is not speaking about it, or probably your friend's network is not breached yet. We are very much vulnerable even in this century. It has not changed. Even though we started bringing HTTPS, everyone believes HTTPS so much, they think that, okay, it's a God which is going to solve every problem. No, it doesn't. HTTPS is just for one kind of attacks, which is man in the middle attack. It doesn't stop everything. And the API security as well. If you have an application, well, of course, functionally it works. And whenever someone tells me, okay, functionally we're good, and I'm like, you are so much passionate about functional, I think many people can hack your application. Just because, okay, no one has hacked your application doesn't mean you are secure until date. It just means someone hasn't gotten their eyes on your application. So we have to think about it, and we have to become open than just being conservative on everything. Being this, the moment we start speaking openly and considering they're adults, some of the adults even do not hear me when I speak about sex education. It's the same thing with the security education. They close their ears, and then later they say, okay, we have different kind of problems. Of course, because you are so away from the education, you are not willing to understand because you are so much attached to your own beliefs for the whole world. How is it so different from creating a group which would be like, okay, I don't want any education. The more we are far from education, I don't think so we'll solve problems globally in every industry. I mean, and as a humanity, we cannot. We are just throwing stones at each other. And that's what happens in security as well, because they have got money. And the data laws have to come in India really strictly. And there are so many applications. People just use a WordPress platform. They take whatever is available on the web. They transfer their files on a server, and finally someone hacks it. Your users are not techies. And it becomes your job to safeguard your users' data. It's same thing like we want our government to safeguard us, give a sense of security, and look into the economical matters, financial matters, and the respect. How people work in the government firm respect any human who is going to their office or anything, which will change only when we speak about it. But we don't speak. You know what? We have fear because, first of all, there are no stringent laws. We don't know where to go. If someone has a breach, they don't even tell you. So, for example, there is some X brand name in your country or in your city or wherever you are, they wouldn't tell you that your data was breached. And that's the biggest crime by far. Now, that's the biggest crime because everyone needs to know what's happening with their data. And when they don't get to know that, maybe the crimes will stop and no one will tell you how they did it. With a simple phone number, I can make someone in Rishikesh in North India, which is like the yoga state or something. There, I could make someone believe that I'm a great astrologer. I don't know anything about astrology. I'll tell you, I don't know. I don't believe in that for myself. So when I told that person about what are his hobbies, what does that person do, what kind of mountains does he go to, and what kind of cities that person has visited, and what was his academics, that person believed me. And he thought, okay, I'm kind of a great yogi. Of course, with his longer hairs, okay, someone could think that, he's a yogi, right? Okay, the personality also adds to it, which is funny. This person believed everything. And how did I get all this information? It was just in a restaurant where he uttered his phone number to the owner of the restaurant, saying his phone number has changed. And I recorded it in my brain, his phone number. And all I did was go to Truecaller The Truecaller app, I entered the phone number, it came with a name. And I took that name and I went to the social media. And I started watching, looking at different pictures and the check-ins. I got the whole information. So no matter what kind of phone you have, what kind of computer you have or anything, as long as you don't do the due diligence, it's going to hit you. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe after 5 years, maybe after 1 year. We don't know that. So do you know where your data is lying is the question. You may say that, okay, I know where is my data, it's in my head. No. Before we used to have it in our head memory, but nowadays it's everywhere. Before people used to fight with the guns and knives. Okay, nowadays people fight with the bits and bytes, which is hacking the people with the malicious intentions for you. So what I would tell you is, even not a non-techie or anyone, non-techie is actually a bad word, any human who cares about their security, please think about it, think about minimal things. And only one thing that you got to think is, whenever someone is interfering in your private data, ask why. And first thing is, tell them no. In India, we do not say no because we think that, okay, what will that other person think? Okay, it's not kind. Kindness is a different thing to me. You need to be kind to yourself, or else tomorrow someone is going to hack your data. So be kind to yourself and say no to people. And once you start saying that, you will buy. Who is asking this? Ask, why do you need my PAN number, permanent account number? Why do you need my social security number? Why do you need my full name? Why do you need my phone number? In different restaurants, they ask your phone number. Why? Because to send you the advertisements. In this restaurant, okay, we are having so and so discount. Why? They're not telling you. Because we don't question. And the moment we question, they're like, they're lost. Even the managers, they're like, sir, because our managers asked it. Wow, really? If there is no education internally, you are expecting to be secure. It's just like barking at the wrong tree, and you are trying to find the needle in a haystack because your data is everywhere. You don't know where it is. So what I would focus on is, we need curious people in terms of understanding why part. Why do you need it? And the second one is, okay, we need a better white hat hackers in the organizations, in the companies who do it like black hat hackers, but they are not black hat hackers. Black hat are the bad guys. But here, white hat hackers are fighting the black hat guys. The good guys are fighting the bad guys. So what they need to do is have these good guys have to think like these bad guys. Until then, we are not fighting the right enemy. We are just thinking something. We finally produce a great report and we give to the report because our senior manager is asking something and we are convincing that person. This is what we are living in today's life. We want to convince one or the other person. That's what. We don't care what kind of work I'm delivering. We don't learn. And of course, this looks like a rant. Of course, it's a rant because I have been saying the same for last 10 years and no one learns. Everyone asks about tools. What is a security tool I need to use? As though it's going to go in the universe and find all the security bugs to you and put them under your feet. No, it's not going to happen. In any industry, if you want to learn, you have to be passionate. You have to do a great amount of study. You have to be disciplined. You have to do it for your own integrity. And you have to dig deeper. Go one layer down, go one layer down. And if you read something, see what's under that layer. And that's what we need to teach our kids as well. I guess why? Now they go and we shun them away. We suppress their thoughts. When they start becoming adults, we still go and tell them what you need to do. Why? Make sure your experience is different, the other person's experience is different. And then you become teachable. You can listen to the other person. It's always about the IKEA person, like not the brand, but I know it all. Then God help you, I tell you. You can't help yourself. And God will also tell you that you cannot help yourself, I cannot help you. The first thing, and later, once you start doing it, please, if you are working in an organization, assess the security from those folks, not those who are the companies, who are giving you a great certificate and a compliance certificate, but identify by asking questions. What do you do? How did you start? We don't. We just go, we tell them, hey, look, okay, we are giving you 5 lakh Indian rupees. Okay, can you please assess our software security? We say, of course, I can do it. We use all the tools. Okay, we get the jazzy report and the decorated report in terms of different colorful report, but the content sucks. The content sucks because the person who was doing it did not study, did not spend enough time on it. So great. So this one is be careful about the softwares that you are using, in short, and then work on your skills if you want to be a security tester or a hacker, ethical hacker. And then studying and learning is daily activity. You have to keep doing it. If you are passionate about going to gym, are you passionate about learning? Is the question that you need to ask. If you are going to sit in the bar or the shisha bar, are you passionate really, or you are just doing it? That, of course, that's your personal, but I'm requesting you people to just correlate to a learning and not cribbing about, I don't know why I'm so poor in my work or anything. I'm not getting my appraisal. You need not think about appraisal. There are only 2 reasons about it. I'll tell you why. If you work well, you will get appraisal unless there is an asshole manager or someone in the organization or someone, okay, who has this. Nowadays, we have this hashtag nepotism that has been there for long years. And someone who comes from their specific place, city, or a state, or a country, they give a greater appraisal. I would not really feel something else to mention this, but I have faced this where a person got a higher appraisal than me just because that person was from the same city. And I hate it. Why are we creating this kind of world around us? Give it to the person, okay, who works, okay, who is skilled and everything. It can be person from anywhere around the globe. Doesn't matter. You keep your personal beliefs to yourself and you can be a human to the other people. So with that, what I'm going to do is I am going to stop my conversation, not really conversation because it was speech. And I would like to invite Dhanush over the call and just for some questions, if someone had.
About the company essentials, and you also mentioned about this hacking things which is actually going on in the real world. We learned a lot more by your speech, and I really want to know about venture capitalist. Can you just explain in a short note, sir?
Okay, I would come back with a counter question here. What do you want to know with the venture capitalists?
How does this work down, and what is the use of this, the company essentials?
Venture capitalists have money, in short. I will give you a high level of my understanding. They will look at our business and they want to invest their money to get a long-term benefits or the short-term benefits, or they just like spending money. Because if I have done this where I had invested some money and my sole reason was, okay, here's the money that I'm putting. You need to give it back to me after so many years. And you need to have a great idea to go to the venture capitalists, and then they invest the money. And most of the times what happens is the companies, if I can connect to the software security, they take their money and they don't know where to invest. Even if they know to invest, the only thing is in the application. Oh, we created this software. Okay, we'll do this, we'll do that. And only when the stakeholder, who is your venture capitalist or the product owners, they come to you and say, you know what, we need to get this security tested. And that happens every quarterly basis. That's what I have seen in my experience with several companies, starting from the startup to bigger healthcare and the banking industries. What happens is, let's say this is a 3 months timeline. So usually the security project works in every 3 months once, the next 6 months or 9th month, and then 12th month. But the problem here is, in between there are 2 months, and that's where the black hat hackers are going to hack you. And that's a bad practice what most of the organizations have, because they're not having real people who are working on security 24/7, 365 days with real motivation, which could be again intrinsic motivation than extrinsic motivation. Most of us are talk shops. I'll tell you, we are talk shops. Of course, we have commitments and everything, but we are talk shops. We only speak, including me as well. But I have been learning for long years now. And just speaking doesn't help. Okay, just you going there and making things happen. So that's a venture capitalist. In simple words, okay, take money, invest something, get the benefits, and then okay, you are investing money to get something. It could be compliance, security, or it could be for the UI, UX design. That's at the high level. That's how I understand what is VCs. I look at it from a traditional point of view. Of course, there are different challenges. Yeah.
That was really informative about the talk of venture capitalist. Thank you so much for being on Planetech Media House. We're glad to have you here. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you very much. And cool. And you can get my contact from the organizers. Cool. Cheers.
Yes, sir. And now let's get back to the session with the speaker, the next resourceful speaker, who is Mr. Sanjay Agarwal, who have joined Schindler India almost 4 years ago. Since Sanjay worked as a new installations controller, who is also into finance, recently Sanjay has taken over a new role as account manager. We're glad to have you on our platform, Planetech Media House. Over to you, sir.
So, good afternoon, friends. I hope you all are safe in this pandemic. May I ask your permission to share my PPT?
Yes, sir, you can.
Just let me know when it is visible to you all.
Can you click on the slideshow so it gives a bigger picture?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Are you able to see my PPT?
Yes, sir, we are.
Is it better?
Yes, sir, it's far better.
All right. So, good afternoon once again. So, just to introduce a bit about myself, I have got 12 years of experience in finance sector. I have worked with companies like ITC, Infactory, Asian Paint, and then Schindler. So basically, I have worked for food industry, I have worked for paint industry, and I'm working for an elevator industry. In Schindler, I have worked for 4 years in controlling function. Controlling is largely finance, and now I have taken up a career shift and I have moved to sales. However, since my large part of experience is in finance, so therefore I am presenting finance over here. So today I would be discussing about the role of finance in an organization, and as well as how, as a finance department, we are trying to cope up with this crisis called COVID-19. So COVID-19, as we all know, that's an unprecedented challenge that we all are facing together. Right from President of America to a common man out here in India, all are sitting at their home and trying to cope up with this crisis. This suddenly, when we're out of our work, it has impacted the global economy. Almost 9 million people has got affected due to this COVID-19 situation. And it has led to a severe health risk across the world. 9 million is a really big number. What has happened is, due to this, is economy and business together has got impacted. As per the comment from Mr. N.K. Singh, the 15th Finance Commissioner, he says that India's GDP will shrink by either 6% to 1% growth. It can be anywhere, depending upon the situation, how it unfolds going forward. If we look at the world's perspective, from the world side, it is sure that will be somewhere close to 3% negative growth as per the assessment of World Economic Outlook and article, which is being published by IMF. So these are the world bodies who are assessing as to how this pandemic is going to impact them across the globe. Construction and media industry has got badly impacted. We all know, because the construction sector involves a big outflow from any person, from an end consumer to overall businessman. It involves big money. So therefore, the overall outlook is negative. People are willing to conserve money and hold money at their end in their bank account rather than shelling it out. Media industry, we all know that is going through bad phase. There are very little new content which are coming on the web, on the tube, and now Doordarshan is the new apple of the eye of people, of the viewers. As a result, with no new content coming in, of course, the ad industry has got impacted, revenue source from there has got impacted. So overall, there is a negative sentiment in the society, in the economy, and in the businesses as well. The impact is so huge that small and mid-sized companies are fighting for their survival. Because as I mentioned that there is a negative sentiment in the overall economy. People are holding cash at their hand. They do not want to give outflow. So they have reduced their consumptions. They have identified the consumptions on essential items, and they're only giving the outflow on required things. And also in businesses also, people are holding on to their cash. They are not paying their bills on time. They are trying to minimize their cash outflows as far as possible. As a result, small and medium-sized companies who had huge outstandings in their books, who had huge account receivables in their book, are crippling for collections. So if I come to Schindler parlance, how we have tried to strategize it, or as a finance function, what is our role in this? So our role is to assess as to how situation is going to be going forward. Although predicting the future is the most difficult thing that you can ask a person. And I don't think there would be anyone apart from an astrologer who would be able to tell you that, yes, I can predict the future. Still, Schindler, as far as the finance people are concerned, they're expected to do some kind of forecast as to how companies' performance would be at the end of the year. So considering the current situation, as I mentioned, that the major impact is on the cash outflows, and the liquidity has got severely impacted in the entire economy, entire business, and also at the individual level. We are seeing layoffs as far as individuals are concerned. In businesses, cash inflows has got severely restricted. So what we have focused on, how are we managing that? So we have looked at two aspects. We have tried to maintain a balance between our receivable management and payable management. Of course, in a business, you also take services from outside the organization, as well as you also offer services outside organization. So you have to manage both the ends. You cannot be just receiving the money and not paying out, and you cannot be just paying out and not receiving the money. So therefore, you have to maintain a balance. So what we have done is, as a matter of bringing prudence into the matter, we have started focusing on our old outstanding, which in a normal course of business, we tend to go slow, considering the business relationship into mind. However, with respect to old outstanding, now we have become really strict, and we are going back to our clients and asking for money, because we know that even though they have money, they will not be revealing it unless we ask for that, because of the negative sentiments that is there in the market. Along with that, apart from managing the receivables, we also have to manage our relationship. So therefore, we have not gone on to impact our relationship with the clients. Wherever we understand, we get onto the table and discuss as to how can we liquidate the outstanding that we have in our books. We have also extended some of the suitable payment terms to manage our credit exposure, as well as manage the cash balance at the client's end, so that he is also able to have a bit long rope in order to pay. Third important initiative that we have taken with respect to our receivable management is e-collection. Given that construction sector, checks are still very prevalent, checks. However, what we have done is we have rolled out e-collection platform. Although this e-collection platform was already there, but the usage of it was pretty low. But in this pandemic, given that the people-to-people contact has got reduced severely, we have strongly focused on our e-collection platform, and that has given us very good result. Through this e-collection platform, most of our collections are through this mode today. Number one, it has reduced the bureaucracy of going to the client's office, collecting the check, and then bringing it to our office, getting it accounted, and then depositing into the bank to get the collection. That itself used to take 4 to 5 days of time. Now we have reduced it to direct NEFT transfer or RTGS transfer. So therefore, this has really helped us in getting our money fast in our bank account at the click of a button. After sales service is one segment. Again, given that the new sales has got impacted because of the negative sentiments that I was talking about. So after sales service, we find that still is a segment which is a part of essential services. Any person who is using an elevator, he would like to keep his elevator up and running. So this after sales service, once the elevator is up and running, the maintenance segment is still firing for us. So we have tried to focus on that segment and start getting the revenue from there. So one was to manage our top line, and then it was to manage our cash flow. Coming to the payable part, in payable part, we have also segregated, we have also identified the vendors to which we cannot stop payment, like the lower segment of people, like the laborers who are running on daily wages, and the material payments. Those segments which are really critical to the business, we have not stopped their payment, and we have ensured that there is enough liquidity in the hands of people with whom it really matters. Second is statutory dues. Of course, we cannot default on statutory dues because we have to be a technically and statutorily sound company. We do not want to be in the eye of the government on the wrong side. So that is another area of focus for us in terms of payable management. So net, we have tried to maintain a balance between our receivables and our payables. Then apart from cash flow, the next thing is revisiting our budgets. Because of course, at the beginning of the year, when we prepared our budget, we did not know that this COVID-19 is going to come. So once this pandemic hit us, and now we know the gravity of it, and businesses are getting impacted because of the lockdown. Now it is very important for us, the finance guys, to keep estimating as to where will we reach by the year end, because a lot of decision has to be taken based on that. Business constantly need to innovate, need to think in an agile way as to how to align itself to the current situation and also to prepare for the future. So therefore, we are doing this. F0 is an assessment of our entire budget that we do. It's at the beginning of the year. F1 we do at the end of the first quarter. F2 is something that we do at the second quarter. And then F3 is something that we do is the third quarter. That is when we prepare the budget for the next year. So as of now, in this entire 2 to 3 months of lockdown, we have done assessment every 15 days, because lockdown also was not in one single go. It was in phase manner. First it was done for 21 days, then government kept on increasing it. So therefore our assessment also happened every 15 days, and it kept we finance guys really busy, because with each changing scenario, what and how it is going to impact our overall business. The second aspect of it was optimization of our overheads. We questioned each and every aspect of the cost element, because we are a firm believer of every penny saved is penny earned. Because naturally, there are only two ways how you can manage your bottom line. Number one, you increase your top line, you increase your sales. Number two is you manage your cost. You reduce your cost, you limit your cost. So that is how, since the top line has got impacted in this situation, so we are trying to optimize our cost overheads. So whenever cost assessment is done, the first thing is attacked is travel management. So now that work from home has become a new norm, this travel management through IT support had been one of the boon, and now people are getting used to working from home. With initial hiccups, now things are coming online and things are getting settled down. People are getting used to working from home through improved IT support. So that is one area of it. Next is restructuring of business operation. We have tried to assess as to how differently we can do our existing business, what modifications we can do in our existing business to suit the current scenario. And third is cost, manpower cost, which is again a big part of the overall cost structure. So we have not the overall industry where how we see is that, there are 4 types of actions that has been taken on manpower cost. One is layoff. The second is reduction of salaries. The third is keeping the salary constant, no increment. And there are again companies where they have increased the salaries also. So they are very far and few. So we have not impacted the salaries of the people. Still, we have managed to manage our manpower cost optimization. How is that? Because our direct manpower, our direct man force is 50% outsourced and 50% in-house. So till the time the outsourced, basically the contractors, subcontractors, since we have got our own manpower, we have tried to utilize our own manpower first, and then only to the extent possible we are giving it to the outside people. So that's how we are managing our manpower cost. So overall, the situation is really critical and this unprecedented. The situation is tough. So I would like to end my presentation with a quote which says, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. Although it's a cliche, but I would say it's time to live that cliche. It's the people who would be able to innovate himself, the people who would be able to upgrade himself, people who would be able to think on an agile manner would eventually come out of this crisis. That's my time. Thank you. I'm open to questions.
That was really explanatory talk from your side. I would start with the quote saying that when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. I really like that quote where you mentioned about and you also enlightened about the situations which every company is facing right today because of the corona crisis. And I would like to ask you a question on your experience of financial in 10 years. How was Schindler open to the employees on the financial status of every employee? Because as you spoke about, few employees are giving their lesser salaries and few are decreasing their amount and few are into half. How is Schindler reacting on it? And I also want to know about the GDP rate. How would India show up post-COVID?
Okay, so I believe you have asked 2 portions of it. Number one is how are people reacting to the salary impact. So as I mentioned, that there are different companies who are taking different kinds of action. There are 4 types of action. Number one is people are facing layoffs. Number 2 is their salaries are reduced. Number 3 is there are sort of companies who are keeping the manpower same, but at the same time, they are not getting any salary increase. Number 4 is salaries are increased. So people are given the raise. So our company falls in where, we have not increased our manpower cost, but we have not reduced as well. Okay. So in our company, we have been able to manage the situation by this manner, considering, and it is only deferred. In the current situation, we have deferred the scenario. So therefore, I believe there is a lot of satisfaction among the employees, given the overall market scenario which is going on. The second aspect of the question that you asked was about, I'm sorry if you can repeat that.
GDP rates mentioned about in case there was at the state the financial minister. What do you think about the next GDP rates and how is India gaining back its GDP post-COVID?
Yeah. So GDP, see, as of now, as I told you that it's very difficult to assess the future. It's very difficult to predict the future. The current assessment says that India's GDP could shrink to -6%. And it can be anywhere between -6% to 1% growth, -6% to 1%. That is about India. However, say for example, if we are in a scenario where India goes on in this lockdown situation till the end of the year, then you never know, it could be even far worse. The current assessment is -6% to 1%. That's what we can say.
Thank you so much, sir. You were really informative on your talk, and you were educative. Thank you so much for being on Planetech Media House. We're glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Well, now let's get back to the 19th editions of webinar Crafting Transformative Information. Let's get back to the next speaker, who is Akshay More, Sales Head Mumbai at Schindler India, who have totally 10 years of experience in varied fields like project management, training, sales in elevator industry, handled major key customers like Marathon, Hupton, Mahindra, Jaipur, and right now heading sales for the entire Mumbai for new sales of Schindler India. Over to you, sir.
I think so. Someone has like closed down my. Okay, yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for the great introduction, and it was quite overwhelming. Thanks, Sanjay, for your thoughts over finance and the insights which you shared for the entire GDP growth and how are we going to sustain to all these things. Uh, I would like to start. Unfortunately, today I don't know what's the issue with my internet. I am just getting hiccups with my internet. So if in case anytime which you feel that the things are not being cleared, please let me know. If in case you can message me or
Sure, sure, sir. I will be supporting
yeah.
you all the time. Go on.
Okay, okay. So so I would start to share my presentation right now. I'm just let me know when it is visible. Is it visible?
Yes, sir, it's visible. It's visible
Okay,
now.
okay. So before getting into the core presentation, I would just like to highlight the things which I, as a sales manager, do. So in Schindler, we handle business for elevators and escalators, and as introduced, I take care of the entire new installation business for elevators and escalators for Mumbai. Um, Sales, as it seems and it is known that it is an engine for the all the businesses, and it starts off creating revenue and then the business goes on. And as the photo suggests, I purposely have kept this photo because it are blocks which has to be taken care of quite sensitively and kept it together so that we as an organization are successful enough to create enough opportunities for the line to go through, and as well as create good revenue for all our stakeholders. Now so as I get into, I'll just like to share a small overview of how sales of B2B industry, let it be Schindler or let it be any of the other industry, goes through. So it is a very simple process wherein there is a sale which happens at the start. Then the sale is being converted into a product. It can be a direct to use product, or it can be a product which has to be executed, which has to be installed, or which has to be maybe transported from one form to another, or from one geographical location to another. And then this product, after installation, is been serviced throughout, is been provided a service to a customer, and after this positive service and and after the satisfied customer, we get a repeat sale business, and so the cycle just goes on. This is a quite basic sales model been used by maximum industries, and this is how the product line goes through. And it is very important for all of us to understand all these three major businesses should go hand in hand, should be in sync, so that the sale or the revenue increases, and so that we have major customers who are repeat customers, because not every time in the market you can generate new customers. So obviously one part is generating new customers, but the major share should come to from some of the customers who are very much loyal to us, which also gives us the top line, which is the business, and also generates revenue for us. Now this entire model was got through, and everyone thought of it. Everyone thought 2020 was a great year ahead. It would be a great year ahead, and we started Jan planning for something and trying to have our strategies in place. But then this happened. So we had all our plans as everyone else had. We had our plan to move ahead, to increase our market shares, to increase our revenues, to increase our number of customers, to increase our reference projects, to pile up and to increase the production facilities in terms of elevators as well as escalators. But then in March, we slightly had a setback. As everyone is aware, COVID-19 slightly took over in India. It started off in November somewhere in China, and then slightly it also took over the entire globe, and India got impacted majorly in March, where our first lockdown started. Still, we had certain plans we thought of, that okay, this is a slight disruption which has happened. We stick to our plans. We wanted that okay, we will go through the plan even if the market is going slow. But then March came, April came, May came, and now it's almost June, which is ending, and we understood, especially in Bombay, that things are not going to be so normal very soon. And it's an unfortunate case. It's a big disruption which had happened, and the market already, the real estate market is, as everyone is aware of, it was going slow in Bombay, and this has impacted the market growth to a very larger extent, wherein 70%, 70 to 80% of our strategies have just fallen through, because there is no further growth in the market. There are no further new real estates or near projects which should be coming up, just due to this, because the COVID has affected the fund flow of each and every individual. And then this disruption has also got through to all of us as a leaders, all of us as a business heads, and to as we need to sail through. We cannot just wait to get this bridge being made and automatically. So we need to bridge these steps and need to see that how we can race through, and how as a sales leader or a sales team we can help an organization to get into a step, to get one step ahead, so that the organization doesn't get impacted to its bottom line as well as to its revenue. So then we thought through. We had a very huge brainstorming sessions with team, with our all head of departments, with our management. And then this was something which I as a sales leader came up through, which we as a team understood what has to be done, and which we as a company, to an overall perspective, understood that this is something which can be handled through this. So first of all, it is very important that this is, if you see the disruption word, I have kept it in green and I have not kept it in red. There is a reason to it, because we as an organization completely see towards it as a very, very, very positive sense of mind. And we have understood that we have to lead through this. We have to lead sales through this during this disruptive situation, because sales, as I started off my conversation saying, that it is an engine for an entire organization. If the engine fails, the entire train behind fails, because there is no new opportunities which are being created. So I tried to put my thought processes in this 4 parameters. So in quality terms, everyone would have gone through the 3P strategies, which is a people, process, product strategy, which we have most of us have learned through in our management schools as well. But there is one more strategy, one more point which I tried to incorporate, which is parameters. So we'll just go through all these 4. How are these 4 impacting the entire business scenario, and how as an individual we need to understand how are we going to go through, and how is Schindler going through all of this in these 4 parameters. So let's take first is the people. So as a team, so this is the biggest asset to any of the organization, is the team which we have. So as a sales team, we first of all came together at a very initial stage when this all started. And the first point which we did was, we need to acknowledge the situation. We acknowledge the situation that yes, things are going wrong and things will be more worse as the day goes on, because the market is not getting ahead. So the first thing as a team, which is very important, not only talking from a Schindler's perspective, from any sales organization perspective for any business, is first is to acknowledge the situation and accept what's happening, and not let ourselves to be in a dream where saying that no, we will be successful. Well, that's a very, very catchy line, a very easygoing line, which we can put forward as a presentation to our management. No problem, everything is going good, and we would achieve our numbers. No, that's not going to happen. So let's acknowledge the situation first. So that's the first thing which, as a base, we need to do. Second thing which we did was, we identified the strengths within our team. Now, when I say identifying the strength, obviously it's a sales team. Sales is one of the strength. That's why everyone is from sales. But I'm not only talking about the sales. I'm talking about the other parameters which my team or a team member could actually have, which is apart from sales. Example, if someone is good into finance, as Sanjay has spoken, so there can be someone who knows finance to a very good extent. I can use him. If someone is good in execution, who has a technical background. I can use him when it comes to execution. So as a team, as a complete 12, 13 people team, we understood that apart from sales, what are our strengths which we can be used, which will be helpful for our organization on a very larger scale. So that's the second thing which we did. The third point is dilute the boundaries. When I say dilute the boundaries, especially in any organization, what happens is all the departments are very much specific to their job, and there are specific boundaries which are being kept. Even on the first slide which I showed, sales, execution, service, there are specific boundaries between all these departments. What we did was, as sales are not going through, the first we understood what are the strengths, how are we going to use these strengths and help the other departments. The second thing which we did was we diluted the entire boundaries. What we did was we made it clear to our management that yes, even if we are from sales, there are departments like services, there are departments like finance, there are departments like execution, where my competencies can be used. You can use the sales manpower not only in sales but also in these situations in services and executions where the market is still not getting affected, and from where we can get the nearby wins. So we made ourselves open, we made ourselves very much agile to the entire management and to the entire organization that yes, this team has these competencies which can be used in this departments and which will be helpful for our department. So it is very important to come out of our own boundaries and our own box saying that I am only good for sales, I am only a salesperson, I cannot do execution. No, we do have other competencies which we need to know about ourselves first, and then we need to execute. So this is something which we did on brainstorming and having continuous team meetings. Fourth point, which is very important, is reconnecting. What happens in a due course of time in sales is a salesperson meets the customer, he sells, he goes ahead, he again sells, he goes ahead, he again sells, and this goes on very well when the situations are normal. Now, when the situation gets disrupted in such a way, everything in the market gets disrupted, the pipeline gets shrunken, the opportunities get lessened by almost 50-60%. Now when the opportunities get lessened, the customers get lessened, the pipeline gets lessened, we need to revisit the people who we are connected 3 years back, maybe 2 years back, maybe. So these are, then what we did was we used each and our connects, the data which we had with our customers, and we got connected through various non-price visits, various non-price calls. All of these customers which we are dealing with when we were in 2016, when we were in 2017, 2018 and 2019 as well. What happened was, okay, there are not major wins, but what's happening is the market knows that Schindler is still there in the market. What is that customers are still having the brand image of Schindler. The customers are still believing that yes, when the market will be good, there is someone who is going to take care of my project. So that's what has done, that's what has given us a good chance that whenever this market settles down, this will be the people who will be getting back to us, will be contacting us, and then there will be a straight away exponential rise when it comes to sales, when it comes to the new businesses. And fifth point, which is a very, very, very important point, especially in today's Gen X situation, Gen X generation, where the technology plays such a huge role, is sharpening the saw. We all have our own competencies, we have our own advantages, we have our own strengths, but we do also have some part of our weaknesses. We do also have some part of the things which we do not know, and it not necessarily be only restricted to your own department called as sales. So we tried to understand what are the things that we do not know, and we gave enough time as a sales team, and we are still giving enough time as a sales team to understand and to learn new things which would be important maybe in the time to come, like handling technology, how to close deals on phone calls. We were not used to doing this. We are used to having a face-to-face meeting, doing negotiations over table, but right now the things are very different. So these are some of the things which we worked on as a team, as a asset to an organization, which is certainly helping Schindler, if not in sales as the market is not going through, but to generate revenue all throughout, which is still keeping the company going through. Now the second point is process. This again is the second very much important point, which keeps the company together, which keep different departments together to run through an entire business in a very clean way, in a very black and white way, and complying to all the standards and complying to all the necessity rules and regulations. So process plays a very important role, especially like business like Schindler, where we have almost 70,000 units under our portfolio, and we need to keep track of all these things. So process plays a very important thing. But what we tried to understand was, one is to understand the entire process and then redefine the set process. Why this is required is because the market has changed, and there are certain things which is not required right now, which is not possible right now because of COVID. Like examples, meeting people face to face, handing them black and white copies of the contracts. This is not required, first of all. Second is COVID-19 is not allowing us to do that. So we redefined this entire process and thought and understood how this can be done over the technology, over emails, over soft copies, over WhatsApp, in fact. And then we made this as a strategical call, and also see to it that, okay, it also abides to the laws, it also abides to the processes, which the objective of the processes, and we redefined this process. So we didn't just think and sit with our own obsolete processes, but also redefined it so that it suits the market needs right now. Second is aligning with the market needs. Now, why is it very required? Because you cannot have, the customer has their own processes, we have their own processes. We cannot have two different processes running in the same universe. So we need to align with whatever changes which has happened in the industry, especially the retail industry and the hospitality industry, and also with the construction industry. Now, all these being our main focus customers, we tried to align our own processes with this industry's processes. Example, as Sanjay said, if the checks are not been we cannot take checks physically, let's have an EFT process, let's have an online transaction process set up for these people so that these payments can be done. If the services cannot be done for the elevators just because we cannot go physically over there, then let's have extension contracts for this customer, so that they also are satisfied and we also are going through our processes in a very simpler way. So that is one thing which we did. Technological advancement, as we are all aware today, technology plays a very important role, especially in COVID-19 situation, because people are not able to meet each other in front. We are right now having a session on Zoom. There are various such webinars happening over Zoom, over MS Teams, over WhatsApp, over Skype. So we used all these technologies. We used Facebook, we used WhatsApp, we used LinkedIn to get connected to all these people and to make them understand how the business goes through and how can a deal be closed. And we got many successes through it as well. And fourth, which is very, very, very important, is setting the priorities. In an organization, there are the process when it is been set, it is set for the entire organization, it is for all the departments. But when it comes to such critical, crucial situation, when there is such a disruption which is happening, and when there is a crisis which has been done, we as an organization came together. We as a sales team also came. So we as a sales team also came together, and we set our priorities right. That which is that process which we cannot overlook upon, and which is that process which we can go through, so that it is an ease to the customer as well, and it is an ease to the business as well. So these are some things which, from a process point of view, in sales we tried to change so that it aligns to the market needs. Now coming to the product. Now there many times what happens is, as a company has such a huge history of the business, they already have that set products into the market. Not much you can change about the product. But obviously the market needs are changing, the situation is changing because of the disruption. Example is the touchless point, which nowadays we are seeing even at the Kirana store. We don't try to give them cash, but we try to do it through our Paytm or Google Pay. So we are trying to avoid personal contacts. So we as a team got through, and we understood what exactly can be done in our products, because elevators and escalators are something which cannot be changed a lot, because that's how it has been. So we became aware of the changing market demands, and we understood that the market demand is for something for a touchless solutions, or something for which by which a person can operate an elevator without touching an elevator. And then in no time we came up with solutions, and we incorporated in our product, so that using a QR code, using proximity sensors, using Google voice commands. So we incorporated all these things into our product, and right now Schindler is able to give solution to the customer within 2 months of time, of all this incorporated in the product. So customers can use all these products without touching this product, so they don't have to touch the buttons, but still the elevators would be running. So that's one thing which we did, and we used all the mediums as a sales team to market this, and so that all our customers, old, new, are aware of what things are happening. So these are also giving us a new opportunity for sales, and we are seeing very new wins which we are happening, that's happening in these products. Second is alternative to core business. So our core business is obviously selling elevators and escalators. Now you have also seen many businesses where the main business is not going, so they have set up an alternative business of maybe so you can see maximum companies which used to sell clothing have started manufacturing masks as well, and they have started selling masks as an alternative business. So we also thought on the same line, that what can be done. So as market is not going for elevators and escalators in Bombay, what can be done for as an alternative for this business? So one is the touchless solution which we came up through, and second is how can we connect this entire elevator digitally. So we started marketing our digital solution to an extent, so that now customers know completely that okay, all these elevators can be connected through internet. There is a certain thing which can be done through these elevators. We can have utilization of these elevators from our mobile phones, and this has also set up as a differentiator in the market, wherein no other vendor or no other competition is able to do this, but Schindler as a company is able to do this with all these products. So this is something which we did with our products. Now coming to a very important point, which I feel, because these 3 P's are normally every time been discussed during any quality meeting or any strategical meeting, but the 4th point, which is parameters. Now why I feel this point is very important is, as a salesperson, the biggest motivation for a salesperson is sell, nothing else. You show him any video, you make him attend any training, you make him attend the best of the best webinars. Okay, he'll feel good about it. He will thank you about it. But the biggest motivation, the biggest kick what a salesperson gets is when he sells something, because that's something which motivates him a lot. And this we are very much aware of. And now as sales are not happening, and as things are not going good in the market due to the COVID-19 situation, obviously sales are not happening. And if sales are not happening, the motivation of the salesperson definitely will go down. There is no other thought of it. And we became aware of this in a very early stage, and that's not good because your sales organization getting demotivated is not good for the organization. So what we thought of is redefine the entire parameters through which we can judge the salesperson. And keeping it very short, what we did was we tried to understand what are the small wins which can be done by a salesperson, where which we can rate him. So we not only rate him on the number of units or the number of sales which has done, but what are the other quality parameters which a salesperson has done, which is impacting the business with other departments. And we tried to strategize that, and we kept it in our strategy, so that our salesperson are motivated with these small wins as well. To give you an example, as Sanjay said, the outstanding amounts which are lying in the market. So if we collect that as well, that's more of like a sale, because that's the money which is coming back to the organization. The service portfolio, if you are trying to increase the service portfolio, is a responsibility of a complete different department. But as a salesperson, if he is supporting the service portfolio, is increasing the service portfolio, that's something which can be if we can be motivated about. Let's keep that in the parameter. So we tweaked the parameters through which we judge or we rate a salesperson. And then we also saw that yes, the sales team is getting motivated, and on the positive side, the business is also getting a good efficient numbers and a good efficient business, so that we can run through. So this is this is the way, this is the strategy through which I, as a sales team member, I would say had gone through, and for the entire team, we have done it. So for my concluding slide, so a simple question that would come to anyone's mind is how are we going to sustain in this situation? I am a person who believe in basics a lot. Yeah, there are things we need to do out of the box, but I am someone who understands that when there are crisis situation, basics would always remain, and basics would always make you sustain and survive. So I have come up with a model called as basics model. What it says is, so first is belief. So first is, as a sales team, as a sales organization, and as an organization, not only Schindler, but as a complete organization, one thing has to be very much there within the team is the belief that yes, these are tough times, and these times would obviously, we would sail through this, and there would be a positive side, and there will be a ray of hope which would happen, and market obviously would get, whether it is a V curve or a U curve, it would go up, and then there would be a time where we will be ready for this marathon, and we would obviously start delivering successes to our organization. So first is belief. Second is, as I said, acknowledge to the situation, align yourself to the situation, and very important, be agile. Please break all the boundaries. You cannot just say that I am a salesperson, I am an execution person, I am a person who only knows training, I am a person who only knows factory. No, you need to use your competency to all the extent, so that the organization is completely getting what it has to from an individual. Third, very important for a sales point of view, is sales management. Why I say sales management? Today sales are not happening. So bring all your stuff which were not happening. Let it be discipline, let it be your pipeline, let it be your portfolio management. Make it in such a way that it is completely efficient and ready. When the market starts, you have all the data with you, you have all the right points, you have all the focuses, you have all the priorities set, so that when the market gets going, you are not in a situation that you are strategizing and then you are thinking what to do. You are completely ready for, so make yourself ready for a market which is obviously going to get in an exponential growth in maybe 6 months, 8 months down the line. So as a team, you need to be very much ready for this point. Third is innovate and initiate. Many times we understand innovate. I have gone through many strategical meetings. I have been in various webinars where innovation has been given a very prime importance, but now the time is of innovation, and you need to initiate as soon as possible. Example, touchless solution is an innovation, but if we keep on working on a touchless solution and initiate it after 8 months down the line, it's of no use, because the demand today is of touchless solution. So the gap between innovation and initiation should be as less as possible, because that's something which is going to bring revenue and positive growth to organization. Communication is a very important point. Nothing new in it. Everyone knows how what importance communication carries. But one more point which I've added to communication is compassion, because today everyone have passion to do whatever we do. Like the first session as well said that hello.
Yes, sir. Please do continue, sir.
Sorry, I thought someone had muted me. Yeah. During these tough times, compassion, because everyone is going through a tough time. You going to someone asking for a business, asking for your money. He is going through his tough times for his own business. So this thin line has to be carried between passion and compassion whenever you are communicating within the organization or outside your organization. That is something which has to be taken care. And last but not the least, please understand, this is survival of the fittest. This is Darwin's theory. The person who is agile, the person who believes in himself, the person who wants to deliver, the output is immaterial. The process is important. And if someone who believes in it, he would survive. That organization would survive. Someone who just gives up, sorry, that would be an end of that individual or that organization, because these are tough times and survival of the fittest is the truth, is the bitter truth. By this, the last thing is, for all of this, why I have done it, what is my objective is to evolve into a sustainable self-driven team with a shared ambition to succeed where winning is a habit, and to build a culture of customer excellence through collaboration. So this is my entire objective through which my team, through which an organization should go through, that winning is something, it has to be self-driven, winning has to be an habit, and last but not the least is customer excellence is the key, because customer is cash, and today that's the most important thing, and that can only be done through collaboration. You alone cannot achieve customer excellence. So that's it from my side. That's it. Thanks for the time. Thanks for the patience. And I am open to for questions. Thank you.
Akshay sir, you were really educative on the terms which you mentioned about PPP, and you also mentioned about very educative stuff about the elaborating the basic words, and you start up the conversation with engine for organization would be sales. I would surely agree with those points which you have mentioned all these ways. Yes, sales stands first in an organization. Without sales, there's no use, because you innovate a product and you need to sell it up. That is how you get your revenue down. And I have one small question for you. You being a sales head for Schindler Mumbai, how would you motivate, how would you make your company get the product sold? Because a face-to-face conversation and selling the product is different. A virtual conversation and selling the product is different. How are you managing the skills to be, what are skills you're teaching your technical employees to get into a sales management, and how are you leading the team? Over to you.
This is a very important and a very this was a question which actually one of my team member had asked me back in March when the lockdown had happened, and I was in mid of a review the business is going through, and this was something which was been asked by one of my team members, saying that how are we going to get connected to these people, because we are not seeing these people, we are not meeting these people, and it's just a virtual thing which we are doing. So yeah, it's very, so to be very frank, it's very difficult. Okay, why? I'll tell you. One is the culture in India is quite different from the culture in Western countries. Still India is coping up with online shopping. It's still not so. Still, I would prefer buying clothes on from Amazon, but I won't prefer buying maybe an air conditioner or a 1 lakh rupees TV from Amazon. I would go and see a product and touch a product, or feel a product, see what experience it gives, and then buy. So as Indians, we do have this, and now we are completely forced to change. So what I want is, as a team, one is when you communicate, your communication has to have a clear objective of what you are going to talk. Many times what happens is we go for meeting, and as meetings are face to face, we can adjust to situations as meeting goes on, right? And the second thing is, we also can see the body language of the other person, and we can understand whether he's liking it or he's not liking it. But when it is on a phone call, we don't know how he is thinking, whether he's listening to me, whether he is understanding what I'm saying. So first of all, whenever you are planning to have a conversation with anyone, your entire script, your entire objective. So I don't mean that you to have a script that मैं पहले ये बोलूँगा, I'll talk this. No, but your objective should be very clear at what you want to happen, and come back. So you have to plan the reverse way. If you want to have, the objective of a conversation is to just build a CRM, not to have sale today, then build up on that in a reverse way, and then understand what has to be spoken about. Please understand. Also, second is to understand that to whom you are calling, he is also in a situation where his business is not going through a very good phase, to be aware of the situation. So this phone call is different from a phone call which you would be doing before March, which was before lockdown. So this is the second thing which I said, that we need to be aware of these things. Third, understand there may be situations where the person from the other side is not responding, but he is reacting. His emotions are being speaking because he might go through a good phase or a bad phase. He might have a funds issue, and you are putting pressure about sales, about outstandings. So please be aware of that situation, that there can be reactions which will come back. And as a salesperson, as a person who is representing an organization, you don't have to react back. You have to understand that sometimes you need to absorb these reactions. So these are 3-4 points which I always talk to my sales colleague, that whenever there is a virtual meeting happening, these are 3-4 points which has to be very clear, which we need to be very clear when we are talking to our customers. I hope I was in line to what you were expecting.
Yes, sir, absolutely. You were in a perfect answer, and you really educated me right now, saying about how are we gonna have a conversation on selling a product which is non face to face. Thank you so much for being on Planet Media House. We're glad to have you here.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for the time. Thank you for inviting us.
Yes, and let's get back to the session of 19th edition, crafting transformative information. And our next speaker would be Subhash, who is passionate about technology and its use in marketing and operations. Prior to joining Schindler India, he worked as a freelancer for 3 years. Mr. Gehlot is also a trained firefighter volunteer. He supports firefighter whenever there is a need of additional manpower. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you for such a elongated, I can say, introduction. It was really overwhelming, where I thought even I didn't know myself better than you. So I don't have any presentation as such, or I don't want to put out jargons or theories or anything to anyone. But I'll be talking about just a simple thing, which is passion. Now, when we say passion, it could be anything for anybody. There's a very simple saying that be diversified enough to survive bad times or bad lucks, so that skills and good processes can have the chance to pay off over the long term. It was said by Joel Greenberg, who has wrote a little book to take on the market. So when we talk about diversification, I just was looking at our family album, I can say just 1 month back. Because of lockdown, I had a lot of time. So going through it, I discovered something, that I saw a family photo of my grandfather. He had 10 brothers and 5 sisters. Now it was really amazing for me to see. I mean, today when we are talking about finances, we are talking about nuclear families, we are talking about migration to cities, we are talking about job opportunities, we are talking about lack of resources. He had 10 brothers and 5 sisters. Wow. So curious me, a little child inside me who is very curious to ask silly questions, asked my dad that why did grandfather had 10 brothers and 5 sisters? Why not just 2 brothers or 1 sister, or just 1 brother like I have? He said there's a logic behind it. And the logic was that we were associated with farming, and we could not afford, or we did not wanted to spend money in labor. So we had our own people to work in our fields. And whenever we had access, we used to send them to work on others' field. Wow. Such a beautiful example when we talk about trade, when we talk about self-sufficiency, and when we talk about exporting the extra. So linking that to exports, when we say a country is an exporting country or a product is being exported, what exactly it means to us? It means that that country is actually manufacturing it, and when it is self-sufficient, they have already given it to the local market, they don't have any scope, or they are facing a lot of competition in local market. In search of new markets, they go into the field of exports. Now, this is what I'm talking about. It's in a phase of a company, an organization where they have these phases. Every organization, every manufacturer will one day either will go for an indirect trade, indirect exports, or will go for a direct exports one day for sure. Or else he is not going to have a sustainable business growth. Now, how export plays a very vital role. Now, think of a company, an organization as a child. I told you about my grandfather. Just take that example of your family. A child is growing up. He has just started exploring inside the house. He starts exploring outside the house. He starts meeting new relatives. He starts understanding the relationships. He starts understanding how to maintain those relationships. And after that, one day, he completes his education and goes to city and start off with a job. Now link that to a business. A business is growing. You're just selling in your area. Say, for example, we have seen many big businesses, big business houses, which have started just from the backyard, which has just started from a small warehouse or even from a small desk. Now, looking into such business as an example, you see the same thing, the same life cycle of a human in businesses. Legally, we say, okay, business is a legal entity. It has a separate entity. It has a separate name. It can be sued or be sued. But again, in logic as well, it is a separate entity. It grows like a child. A business which starts from just a local neighborhood. You're baking cakes and selling it to your neighbors. You grow your business. You start a shop. You grew further. You started a franchisee. You started growing more profits. You started seeing that, okay, now the market is saturated. You started selling franchises in foreign countries. You started diversification. Now, this is a kind of a diversification for a business. When we talk about COVID-19, when the local market is suffering, there are still some markets which have coped up. For example, China, Europe, even today, the exports is going on. For Bangladesh, the textile exports are going on. So these trades, these exports is sometimes very much least impacted. When we see the cycle of COVID, it started off very early in China, that now in this stage, they have come out of this. Where in India, we are now going to face the highest curve and then it will start dropping. For America, they already faced the highest curve and now it has started dropping a little bit. For Europe, same thing. So it's like a cycle. So export is a diversified business for any organization where it has another source of income. Now people talk about a lot of things that, okay, the rupee is depreciating, it is happening. But do you know that depreciating currency is beneficial for exports? There's a big case theory about the Chinese currency bubble, wherein it was found that, okay, some countries are trying to control their own currency with the foreign reserves so that they can benefit the exports. Right now, when the rupee is dropping, still the exports business is benefiting out of it. Our products are being more competitive outside. We are getting more foreign exchange in terms when we are getting the sales, the money is coming in, we are getting more foreign exchange in return. So it is actually indirectly benefiting exports. So every bad thing has a good side on it. Now, when we say export is important for a country, for an organization, there are a lot of things associated with it. When you start an organization, you need machinery. And no country is 100% self-sufficient towards any industry having 100% raw material from local or even 100% machinery from local. No country is self-sufficient in that manner. So you import raw material, you import machinery. Now these exports, the earnings which you get in exports come handy when you have to get benefits out of these imports. There are a lot of schemes where government says that, okay, if you are importing machinery, you can issue a EPC license, you can do a sale, you can do an export and then take the benefit. You don't need to pay a duty right now. You just show us that, okay, you have done ample amount of exports using this machinery and you have earned foreign exchange for country. So when we say organization are into exports, it is actually as a whole contributing towards the country's the country's balance sheet. When we say trade deficits, where the exports help in minimizing the trade deficits. Now, country as a whole earns in two ways: the export earning for the country. You have a lot of foreign exchange coming in. You have a lot of dollars coming in, which the country can again use to buy the natural resources for the country, or could be used into funds, could be used to boost in the economy, could be used to support organization, fundraising, anything. So that is a way the country also gets benefited as a whole when we talk about exports. Now, exports is not just a small subject or a book where like marketing for Philip Kotler that you can read and get it. No, there are certain skill sets as per a theory which says that, okay, after 5 years, your skill sets gets deteriorated and you need to renew them, you need to update them, or you need to find new things, like just like technology. When we got in LED, people were on LCD. We got in LED, it changed, and the frequency of new technology coming into this market today is very small. In a year, earlier in 2 years, every year you used to get one smartphone which was launched with new features coming in. Today, every month you have 10 smartphones which are launched by 50 different brands. Now, when we say dynamics of export, if a person says that or feels that, okay, I know everything about exports, he's still at 70% of knowledge. Now, why? Because these policies are very dynamic. It can change in a day. It can change in a month. It can change in an hour. That today I have a free trade agreement with Nepal. I cannot guarantee that, okay, after an hour, the free trade agreement is still going to go on, or it might get suspended immediately. You never know. Now, just also when we talk about these dynamics, it also comes to preference. When we see India, there are a lot of goods, there are a lot of material which come as imported goods. There are a lot of exporters in India who are manufacturing and sending it to exports, also supplying into local market. They say it is export quality. There are a lot of branding done. There is a lot of things in quality also, because when we say exports, we say, okay, export quality has also become a standard benchmark. Now, just give you a small example. Let's talk about South Asian countries as a whole. Now, when we say South Asian countries, we have India, we have Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Maldives, Pakistan, all these countries coming in. Now, Bangladesh is one of the fastest growing country in South Asia. Now, their preference to products is very different. They go for country of origin above brands. They are not worried more about brands, but they are more worried about the country of origin. They want European goods. Now, there could be a lot of reasons of it. Maybe they have a bilateral trade, or they have unilateral trade with Europe, that they are sending textiles there, and just because they have such a good relation, people there have got it embarked on their brains that, okay, European goods are very high in quality. Now, when I put it this way, that, okay, I am selling to Europe, and there are some quality benchmark they ask about my products. So that puts an indication in my mind that, okay, Europeans have very high quality standards. So if any product I buy from Europe will have a high quality. That is how it goes on and generations to generations, this feeling or this belief keeps on strengthening. So Bangladesh, when we say, okay, they would prefer European products any day. Maybe there are reasons that I said, okay, they have the supply chain, they have exports to Europe, there is a good relation between them, whatnot. Talking about Sri Lanka and Maldives, which are very much tourist hotspot, they prefer Chinese products above Indian. Now, they also have a love for Japanese-made car. And when I say Japanese-made car, it doesn't mean that a Japanese brand is making a car for Sri Lanka or for Maldives. No. When I say that, they mean that, okay, they want a car which is made for Japan. They import those cars to Sri Lanka and use it there. Toyota, they have a factory in India, but they don't want it from India factory. They want a Japanese car made in Japan for Japan, hybrid cars. Now, such small countries, or we can say such small economies having such strong beliefs and strong preference, this bring in the excitement to the exports. You never know. There was a big blunder which was done by Tide when they exported to UAE. Now, it was a very small blunder. Instead of writing from right to left, they made a pictorial representation from left to right, which said, okay, you have a clean cloth, you put it into the bucket and you remove a dirty cloth. Now, this was just because of perception, where the Tide wanted to say you have a dirty cloth, you put it into the bucket, you get a clean cloth. But the people there read from right to left. So they saw a clean cloth going into the bucket and a dirty cloth coming out. Big blunder in marketing, which is still given as an example in a lot of management colleges. Such a dynamic thing. And when we talk about India as a whole, we Indians also have a different importance, different perceptions, different preference as a whole. Now here we are not much more conscious about the country of origin, but we are conscious about brands. I want an apple, but I don't see if that apple is coming from its China factory or a Korea factory or a US factory. I want a Toyota for quality, but I don't see if it is coming from India factory, China factory, or the Japanese plant. So such way, so everybody, every country have a different set of people having different beliefs, different things, and this all comes out of history. It all comes out of history, it all comes out of geography, and also a lot out of finance. Now, just to put it that I want to buy a Toyota car from Japanese origin would be a statement of a citizen in Sri Lanka when I ask him what he wants in a car. But if I say about an Indian who wants to buy a Toyota car, he will say, okay, I want to buy a Toyota car because it's a good quality product and Toyota is a good company coming from Japan, but he is not bothered about country of origin. Now, being brand driven also helps a country in many ways. Now, how it helps? If Indians, all the Indians stood up and said, no, I want a Toyota car, but it should be country of origin should be Japan, or country of origin should be China. Because in India, we don't get good quality raw material. What will happen? Just imagine the scenario where there will be no Toyota manufacturing plant in India. Just think about the cost, or think about the imports that we might be doing because of this preference. So this kind of preferences, this kind of perceptions play a vital role. And when an organization is actually planning to put a manufacturing plant in a country, they look, for sure, they look about raw material, they look about transportation, they look about a lot of things like how big is the market, will I be able to suffice the demand and supply. But one important key thing that many manufacturers look for is, are the people going to buy from manufacturing this product in India? Are they really going to buy? Now, if Toyota goes and put a plant in Sri Lanka, still people will not buy because they want a Toyota from Japan. So this is the dynamics of exports when we talk about. Now, putting it also in another way, that why are we not having every manufacturing here? Why are we not having everything exported? Why there is a restriction on few items? Why is a restriction on few things? Why few things are easily traded? So there's a big team government body behind it who regulates these exports. So they look that, okay, our India as a country, what is our production rate of a particular product? Then we take the market. Okay, this is the production rate and this is the market. So after giving it to the market, after sufficing the market which is locally, what is left is exported. They make sure about it, or else we will have a situation like 2017 where we were earning a lot by exporting onions, but we had no onions in our country to buy and the prices were shooting up. So those are the situations when the exports are not regulated correctly. And we were getting profits. We were getting a lot of profits out of exporting onion. We had a lot of trade agreements we had to fulfill. We have an agreement with Maldives to supply with a lot of vegetables, fruits, grains, everything. Still, we had to put a barrier at some point that, okay, guys, first out of 100 produced, 80 has to go to India, and then only 20 you can export. So those are the parameters which define if a product can be exported freely or under restriction or prohibited. Now that I have already bombarded you with a lot of information, lot of knowledge, I would just like to end it with some few fun facts. So these fun facts I got from one of the insurance company, Prime Insurance. And one of the fact is that everybody know about switchblades, right? The Govinda using it in his hand. Kach, 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 kach. Okay, so importing switchblades into United States is completely illegal. But there's a clause which says that you can import switchblades, you can bring the switchblade personally with you, okay? But you have to be without any arms. So if you don't have arms, you can bring switchblade personally with you. So this is some kind of ways or some facts, fun facts which I can tell you. Even everybody know about the history where Neil Armstrong stepped on the moon. Well, to share a fun fact about exports being existing at that time and custom officers also existing at that time, on July 20th, 1969, when Apollo 11 made a history, like first human went on the moon, when Neil Armstrong came back, they brought some dust and moon rock with them. It had to pass through custom officials. So the custom officials actually checked it and they had to declare it in the red zone. They had to declare, okay, we are bringing moon rocks and we are bringing moon dust with us, and has to declare them as tariff exempt. So these were the fun facts about exports, and yes, exports is my passion. So you might hear a lot from me, maybe later. Over to you.
Thank you so much. So that was really amazing to hear from you about the marketing and the technologies. You were really so educative and you were informative about every point of view. When I got a lot of information that I never knew that Neil Armstrong had gone through this export custom checkup. That was really fun fact. I really like that thing. And you started off with your grandfather's example. That was really amazing. How people use their mind skills to get a lot of income in the marketing stream. And I would like to ask you one small question, and I need a short answer saying that, how would you make Schindler India as your child? Because it is one of your company as a child company. How would you market it under the crisis of COVID to get a number of sales into the company?
Yes, so with sales, see, today after COVID, earlier in sales, there was a very key factor, which was belongingness. Belongingness and a personal touch, which we used to say when we meet customers, there's some relation we come out, either it will be my native place and his native place, his likes and his dislikes might match with my likes and dislikes. It used to happen in face-to-face meetings. But when we have a non-face meeting or a telephonic meeting or a virtual meeting like this, it's very difficult to get the glimpse, or it is very difficult to get the feel. So only thing that we need to make sure that we do today is to give a proper solution to the customer. Give a proper solution and be very much honest with what you are saying. See, a marketing guy or a sales guy, where many times people give an analogy that, okay, sales guy is somebody who lies. I'll say no, if a sales guy is lying, then he's not going to be successful in his career after 4 years, 5 years, because then customer will start realizing that he is fraud. So today I would, in Schindler, as a salesperson or an export salesperson, I would rather prefer to lose 10 units by saying truth than having 1 unit by saying false.
That was really amazing. That was really amazing. It was so, truth stands, dharma stands. You actually proved it. It's time to conclude the webinar. Well, I would like to thank all the panelists for spending your valuable time with Planetech Media House and sharing your informative knowledge on Company Essential. Thank you so much for being on Planetech Media House. Signing out. That is Devang.